how's everybody doing today? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is the Project. First of all, I would like to apologize for being a little bit late for this broadcast today. Germany has been absolutely crazy since we've done the time zone change, so it is absolutely pitch dark outside, and it's actually making my drive home a little bit longer than usual. So I'm going to start doing these at 7 o'clock instead of 6:30, so that's instead of 18:30, it's going to be 1900 in future weeks during this period of darkness over the winter time. So something I'll have to adjust to. The thing I wanted to talk to everybody about today is this concept of followership and leadership, and how it's really two things that you have to balance out. So in my book, The Project Manager, Ashley is the main character, and she's a project manager, and she's responsible for integrating technology into a smart building. But she has someone over her, and that person is sort of the mentor throughout the entire book, Thomas Robert Morgan. And he's responsible for the entire project. So he's responsible for the construction, and he's responsible for the HVAC, and he's responsible for the legal and everything else. So when you look at that concept, a lot of times we are the project managers, and we have a team underneath us, and we're the leaders, and we look at things from a leadership focus. But one of the things that we need to consider is, what about our followership? What do we expect from our followers so they're good followers to us? And then how can we be good followers, and how can we support our project sponsor? How can we support our program manager if our project falls under a larger program? How can we ensure that we're doing the right things for our bosses so that they're successful? Because if they're successful, we're going to be more successful. And a lot of times followership can be a little bit adversarial. People are kind of pushing to get ahead, seeing who's the most important, who does the boss like the best, who's going to be next for a promotion. And what I'm going to encourage everyone to do out there is follow this concept of followership. And if you're a good follower, what people are going to see is you're also a good leader. So being a good follower does not mean that you're submissive. Being a good follower means that, come here. So this is my cat, and he wants to be part of the video today, even though I'm trying to send him away. So he is not being a good follower right now. So for instance, pushing yourself in the limelight, this is not what you want to do as a good follower. What you want to do as a good follower is you want to express your relationship behaviors. These relationship behaviors include providing support and encouragement, consulting when making decisions, generating a sense of security. What you want to do is ensure that those who are below you, who are your peers, they all have that sense of relationship. So they know, hey, you know what? If I go to Amy, Amy's going to be loyal to the boss. And if I have a problem with the boss, I'm the one who's going to talk to the boss. I'm not going to undermine him or her. I'm not going to talk to my team and say, oh, well, don't listen to her, don't listen to him. What I'm going to do is, first and foremost, if I have a problem, talk to my boss about it, and then if there's a problem, we'll come to that resolution, whatever they say in the end, they're the boss. And then you go back to your team and, hey, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And you don't undermine them, and you create that sense of loyalty. And unlike my cat, you do not push yourself into the limelight, right? So the next thing we're going to talk about, task behaviors. One of the things that you absolutely need to do is clarify the roles in the organization. And this can include your peer project managers as well as with those who are subordinates underneath you. Another thing that you want to look at is controlling individual work. So you want to be ensuring that you understand the tasks that are coming from up high to your boss, down to you, and then those tasks that you're delegating down to your team. So you're really kind of that middle person in between, and that's a balance that you have to have. Another thing you want to do is you want to do mentorship. So what does everybody want to do? We want to get promoted to that next level, right? So if you're constantly telling your team, don't worry about that, don't worry about that, you're not mentoring them. You're not growing your team as followers so that they can get to that next level. So what you want to do is ensure that you're giving your team those tasks so that they can grow and develop, so that you can move on and you can get that next promotion and they can all get promoted up too. And the other thing that you want to look at is change behaviors. You want to be scanning the environment. You want to be looking for threats and opportunities. You want to be presenting compelling arguments. You want to be able to go back to your boss and say, hey, here's what I've been thinking. You want to be innovative. And a lot of times I hear that word now and I almost cringe. I hear people all the time saying things like, oh, think outside the box. That's just so completely cliche. You need to be innovative when there's a requirement. If you have a task management tool and it's working for you and it's working for your team, that's great. Then you don't need to be innovative. You can use what you're using. But if you have a tool, it's not working, it's something where you're like, oh my gosh, we are not coming together as a team, maybe it's a time to bring in a different tool and you want to use that. So at a different time, I'll be reviewing different project tools, and I know this is a big deal, so I'm not going to name any specific tool today on this program because that's not our focus today. And later time, we will do a lot of software tools and which tools people prefer. I know some people are Microsoft, some people are Primavera. I don't want to just lead you down that path today, but what I do want to say is that, this is when you want to be innovative. You don't want to just be like the same old, same old. But if it's working for your team, just continue to go with it. And one of the things that you can really do as a change behavior is promote team building events. And this is very, very important, not only for your individual team, but to go to your boss sometimes. If you realize that your team is having friction with another team, then this is the time for you to say, hey, you know what, I've realized that those in my shop, we're having a problem down in the hall. Why don't we get together and do something social, do some kind of team building activity? And this can help everybody to come together. So these are 3 different things I talked about today about how to be a good follower. One of the things is your relationship behaviors. You want to build those relationships both with your boss, with your peer project managers, and with your team below you. The other thing that you want to do is task behaviors. You want to make sure that you are assigning the tasks, you're assigning the roles, that you know the role from your boss, and then you're assigning those out to your team. And you also want to make sure that you have an understanding of what the other team members are doing. A lot of times it can be very complicated in a large organization and things get dropped. So you want to make sure you're tracking that. I once talked about team handoff, about using both RACI diagrams and swim lane diagrams. It's a great way to do that. And the last thing I talked about is change behaviors. How do you implement change? How do you be innovative when you need to? And how are you supportive of your team and team building exercises? We've got quite a few questions here, so I'm going to scroll through them real quick. I did try to slow down a little bit. I will try to keep that in mind. Sometimes I forget English is not a first language for everyone, and especially I know I have an American accent. Sometimes I listen to my British friends and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, or the Australians. So I will do my best to slow down and make sure that you have something more informative. Thank you for the compliments. Team building activities is really great. I'm going to add that, as well as there's questions on how to study. I also have an article on that on my website at www.amyshamilton.com. If you go to that website, it's really good. It gives you some information about how can you train for your next certification exam like a marathon. I presented it, I believe, on this site before. I can always present it again. Team building is something great that we'll add. Personality and team leaders, that's a really great topic. I did a session before on emotional intelligence, but I think that personality and team leaders is something we can add. I'll add team building and, of course, software and which project management software people like. If you guys would like to add more, if you guys have more comments, I am really interested in making sure that this is the best possible program for you. I would really like to thank Saeed and the team. You guys are so welcoming, so wonderful. I appreciate part of being this amazing project management community. So this is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project. If you want to find more about Ashley and Thomas Robert Morgan and how they're able to operate as a team, go ahead and get the book from Amazon, and I will talk to everybody again next week. And we're going to be switching the time to 1900 during the winter. So thank you so much for everyone and your understanding.